They lost to Brentford, a team that play in red and white. And a certain somebody was sat in the Etihad that day watching Manchester City be rubbish and watching them lose that game of football the last time they lost at the Etihad. And that was me. And so hopefully, maybe it's an omen. Maybe we can do the same again. Maybe I can be sat in the Etihad watching Manchester City put in an absolute stinker to lose to a team that plays in red and white. No, I don't believe myself either. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and anybody else who is joining us here today, and welcome to another Sheff United Way match preview. This week, we are previewing Saturday's 3 p.m. visit to the Etihad as United take on the champions, the world champions, Manchester City. Now, most people would say we can write this one off. It's a shot to nothing, so let's just go there, see what we can do. This isn't a vintage version of Manchester City. I think we all know that. They've been struggling a little bit in recent weeks. In fact, they've drawn their last 3 home games. They've only won 1 of their last 6 games in the league. I should preface this to say the video is recorded before they play against Everton. So, of course, those stats may be subject to change at the point that you are watching this video. But they've also had to travel all around the world to go and play in the Club World Cup. Now, they won those Club World Cup games really, really easily, as they should do. I think we would have won them, and that's saying something. But they are still riding the high of a fantastic achievement. They're the first team, as I understand it, to win the Champions League, the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the Club World Cup in the same season. So that's a hell of an achievement, but it has put some miles into the legs of their players, which maybe we can try and play on just a little bit. Now, De Bruyne and Haaland might be back in training, but even then, they still travelled. They took them to the other side of the world. They're going to be knackered, but they're still Manchester City. And, you know, they are unbeaten at home since November the 12th, 2022. That is before the last game, if I remember correctly, before the Qatar World Cup break last season. However, there's a nice little coincidence that brings us into this match preview, because they lost to Brentford, a team that play in red and white. And a certain somebody was sat in the Etihad that day watching Manchester City be rubbish and watching them lose that game of football the last time they lost at the Etihad. And that was me. And so hopefully, maybe it's an omen. Maybe we can do the same again. Maybe I can be sat in the Etihad watching Manchester City put in an absolute stinker to lose to a team that plays in red and white. No, I don't believe myself either. But, you know, you've got to throw out something. But if you are a dreamer, and if you are dreaming like me and you think there is a chance United could pull off a miracle, if you are going to the game at the Etihad and you want some music to accompany you on your journey down, then 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗲 album Stick or Twist is a lot of fun. And every listener gets a unique experience from their range of tracks and different genres. Now, they are big Blades fans themselves, and they would absolutely love to hear that fans are enjoying the album as part of their pre-game ritual. The link for more information on 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗲 and their album Stick or Twist is available in the description of this video here. Now, I did this last time, and I'm going to have to do the same again. I am contractually obliged to have to talk about Luton Town in this video. And I mean, I don't want to. I really don't want to, because I'm still angry. It's been, for me, when I'm recording this, 24 hours since the game, and I just can't get over what we did, to be honest. I thought that there was a lot of the performance to be proud of. You know, we created a fair few chances. I think we created around 3 XG. We scored the goals to make ourselves in a really strong position. You know, we've scored a lovely first goal. McAtee has done fantastically to set it up for McBurney to finish. We had a bit of a scramble, but Anella's finished well again for us to get that second goal, and we're ahead. We've got the game won. Luton aren't causing us any problems. They're not creating chances. They've not cut through us with any sort of difficulty. They're not hot knife through butter, as we saw from Bournemouth, as we saw from Burnley, as we've seen through so many teams. I can't remember Luton creating a single chance. 90 minutes, I can't remember one chance that you would go, yeah, that's a goal. I can't remember anything at all that they've created in 90 minutes. And we've given them 3 goals. They've not worked hard. They've not done anything special. They've not had to put any effort in at all. We've given them 3 goals. I'm still really angry. I'm sorry. I'm getting more and more annoyed as I talk about it because I'm just so frustrated. It was weak, the weakest goalkeeping I've ever seen to concede the first goal. The second goal is an absolute joke. I mean, okay, Robinson couldn't get his head on it quite properly. He should have done better, but you can't let that just float slow motion into your bottom corner. Again, we need a proactive goalkeeper who's actually going to take command of those situations. He's not fully to blame for the second one. And I think on another day, when I'm in a better mood, I might forgive him the second one. If he'd not just done the first one and passed it into his own net himself, we'll come to my team for the game against Manchester City later on. But I think you can figure out who's not going to be in it because he's really annoyed me. I made the trip to Villa where he threw 2 points away in last minute. We then obviously come to Bramall Lane and we throw another 3 points away. And it's just really frustrating because the performance as a whole was positive, I thought. I thought United in the second half, once we changed shape, was so much better, so much brighter. We were causing Luton problems and we really just took control of that game where they didn't offer anything. We'd got them exactly where we wanted them. We'd pushed them back. We'd forced them into having to defend. We'd scored goals. We'd got ourselves ahead in the game. And just through weak mental deficiency, we've thrown it away. And I can't forgive them that. I'm really still annoyed. And so we'll move on from Luton before you all have to witness an epic rant that I'm sure you've not come to the Manchester City match preview to hear. So after all of that, and after that performance and the defensive shambles and the embarrassment that they've caused me having to watch those goals going against us, what team would I pick to play against Manchester City? Well, here is my lineup just coming on screen now. And for my lineup to show you in this beautiful visual, I use the FanHub app. Now, you can access the link to join FanHub in the description of this video. And if you sign up using the code on your screen, 𝗜HEYC5, you will sign up with the support of the Sheff United Way, which we would greatly appreciate. So, as you can see from my team, I am going with Adam Davies in goal. Just too many errors from Fotheringham. Just way too many errors. It's cost us 5 points in our last 2 games by just being completely either out of position or, I don't know, useless, I think might be the best way of describing it. And we just can't afford to carry that kind of mistake anymore. It's not the first time he's done it this season. I think I was reading he's made 6 big errors leading to goals so far, which is the most of any player in the league. And so I think we've really got to look at that now and we've got to make the change. So for me, he dropped out completely for this one. I think Davis should get the nod. I wouldn't be upset to see a misser. I just think it can't be Wes for me. I think maybe mentally, these goalkeepers might be in a stronger position as well. With the mistakes that he's making, I do think that mentally Wes needs a break from the team. I think he needs to be able to reset himself and find himself in a better place because at the start of the season he was doing much better. He actually started the season, I think he was man of the match when we played Man City at home. So he can get there. We know he can get back to the level, but he needs a break from the team and he can't just be sent out to dry here because I do think this one could get painful if he's in our goal and he's making these kind of mistakes again and again and again. Now, the main thing for me, though, is that whether it's Davis, whether it's a misser, even if it's Wes, doesn't really matter to me for the 30th of December. On the 1st of January, it needs to be somebody new. We need somebody different. Our owner has got to get his hand in his pocket and he's got to actually spend some money on this football club and on this starting 11 so that we can get better. We need a goalkeeper. I would very much like Victor Johansson from Rotherham, so if you can get your hand in your pocket and bring him in, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, we need a change. We need something new. So for me, Adam Davis would be starting this one. In terms of in front of him, I think I said it before, we were so much better in the second half against Luton once we reverted to our back 5 formation. It had also worked quite successfully against Aston Villa in terms of frustrating them, in terms of limiting their opportunities. And I think this is going to be a backs-to-the-wall defensive performance from United. It's what it's got to be. We're not going to be playing attacking football. We're not going to be free-flowing. We're not going to be creating chances. We're going to be parked on the edge of our box, trying desperately not to lose to see how long we can stay in the game and then try and force a mistake, just like we did against Aston Villa. So, is it going to work? Probably not. It's Manchester City. It's a free hit. It's one of those kind of games. But What do I want to see? I want to see exactly what we saw against Villa, which was a proud team who were fighting for each other, who were working hard, and who were cutting out silly mistakes until the 97th minute. So what team would I go for in this formation? I would expect Jayden Bogle to come back in at right wing back. I think he'd been playing well since Wilder has come in. Thought he was very good against Aston Villa. I think he was unlucky not to get the nod, not to play against Luton. And so I would expect him to come back into the team here. With A'Nell being suspended, I think that means that Baldock will drop into the right centre-back position. Again, played it against Aston Villa, and while he had possibly the worst game I can remember Baldock having, he really did struggle in that one. I don't see that we've got another option if A'Nell isn't available, and so it has to be Baldock who drops into that position. I think we'll then see the partnership that's starting to build with us playing Trusty and Robinson next to each other. And I think, we would probably argue that that's our strongest defensive two right now. I think they have been genuinely quite consistent. I think they've had issues, they've had errors, Luton. But for the most part, they are the two I think we would rely on to be playing in that position. And then left wing back, I'm going for 𝗂𝗂𝗔𝗂. Now, again, he had a really poor start to the season, and I think we were all quite happy to see him drop out of the team. But when he came in against Villa, he did impress me. He had a really difficult task up against Leon Bailey and up against Matty Cash. And I actually thought he did really well to try and sustain that, to keep them at arm's length, to stop them just cutting through us like a knife through hot butter. And so therefore, I'm fairly confident that he should come back in, take that spot. Wouldn't be disappointed to see Max Lowe. But it also gives 𝗂𝗏𝗔𝗂 the chance to redeem himself after his mistake cost us against Manchester City at home. I like to think that he'll get over that, and I like to think that if he does play in this one, we'll see a better performance from him, similar to what we saw against Villa. In midfield, Harmer is suspended and McAtee cannot play against his home team, and so we're seeing a little bit of a change coming through the midfield. I think we'll see Norwood and Vinny Souza playing deep. I think they'll be sat just in front of the defence, and they really will be camped there. We'll expect Souza to disrupt play, to win tackles, and to put himself about physically, because I think that's the only way we're going to try and disturb this Man City team. In front of them, I think Brooks will continue because he had a fantastic start to his career as a Sheffield United player, and I think Slimani will be next to him because, again, it's that extra physical presence. He's got a little bit more about him, and I don't think we can afford to play two up front. I think if we played two up front, we would be asking to get battered, and so I imagine that we'll really try and pack that midfield. We will play very, very deep, and so Slimani will come in, take McBurney out of the team, and it'll give us a little bit more compactness through that midfield. And then up front, it'll be Cameron Archer. I think we will rely on, hopefully, him having a little bit of pace. He's not the fastest, but he is probably the fastest option that we've got available to us right now. And so I think he's got to be the one who plays. And I do think that if we get a chance, he's the one we would most rely on to try and knock it in. So I am 100% all my eggs are in the basket of it being the same as Aston Villa, only hopefully we don't concede in the 97th minute. But what that means is we'll just concede in the 7th minute instead, and we'll have none of the fun and none of the excitement. That's the United way, innit? But no, I think that team can go out there. I think they can compete, and hopefully it gives us, a puncher's chance. We've got to have something. We've got to have some hope, even if we don't all quite believe it. Now, for the 23-24 season, the Sheff United Way is sponsored by Greene King Sport, where football is more than a game. Now, Greene King Sports venues are showing every televised Sheffield United fixture over the course of the season. So instead of turning to the internet and trying to find a dodgy stream, get you and your mates together, get yourself down to your local Greene King pub and get closer to the action. This season, Greene King have launched the Greene King Sports Instagram page, which will be home to fan content, deals, and competitions throughout the season. They've already given away Champions League final tickets and signed shirts, so you do not want to miss out. Drop them a follow on Instagram, and you won't just be the first to know about all of this, you'll be helping out the Sheff United Way. As referenced earlier, Man City have struggled a little bit with injuries so far this season. De Bruyne has been missing, I think, for almost the entire season so far. Haaland has missed their last 5 games, and Doku has also been a doubt through the last 3. Rodri went off in the Club World Cup final, but you will know more about this watching me than I do, because I think whether or not he's fit will dictate whether or not he plays tonight against Everton. If he doesn't, I wouldn't necessarily expect him to be back for the weekend. Now, in their last game before this preview is recorded, their last league game, Man City blew a 2-goal lead at home to Crystal Palace, conceding a 95th minute penalty, which was tucked away by 𝗍𝗂𝗍𝗶𝗲𝗀𝗍. Now, we know how they play on paper. It's a 4-2-3-1 system, but they have the full-backs stepping in. They move central, they join the midfield, which creates a fluid system, which is more akin to a 2-6-1 when they have got possession. And from what we know about their strengths, and given the injuries they've got, I think the starting 11 picks itself from what you expect. We might see Pep Roulette. We know he does that sometimes. We know they can rotate. But I would expect them to go with something like Ederson in goal, Kyle Walker, Ruben Diaz, John Stones, and Josko Gvardiol as the back four. I think Rodri will be fit, and I do expect him to play. So I think Rodri will play alongside Mateo Kovacic. Now, I've gone for Kovacic instead of Rico Lewis, because I just think he gives them a bit more physical presence. I think Guardiola will look at a team like United and will think we need physicality, we need a bit more strength. And I think he'll look at Kovacic to try and bring that to their team. In front of them, I'd expect Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, and Phil Foden. And then Julian Alvarez will lead the line, because I don't expect Erling Haaland to be back fully fit in time to play this one. Of course, I may be wrong, but even if he don't play, it's not a bad team, is it? You know, I think we'd swap. If they said we'd do 11 for 11, I think we would swap. Nah, I might take 10, you know. We'd probably keep Cam around, would we? Something like that. But, you know, this is one of those where it is a bit of a write-off and we have to do the best that we can against Manchester City. Every team in the league knows this is the hardest game you're going to play this season. And so we go there and we do our best to enjoy it. Now, let's look at some of our player connections. And we have got some quite recent ones, some who will be involved in this game, some who, unfortunately, won't be involved in this game. I'm, of course, talking about Kyle Walker, who has won absolutely everything there is to win since joining Manchester City, and James McAtee, who himself has had a very successful loan period at Sheffield United, both last season and continuing into this. We had Tommy Doyle last year, who was brilliant, played a really big role in us getting to that FA Cup semi-final, and I know a lot of United fans disappointed that he's not still with us at the club. Now, I know there are plenty of others, and we could do this for quite a while, so I want you to tell me who you've got in the comments, but I have to reserve a special word for a personal hero of mine. I was a youngster growing up in the early noughties, and there is no way that I couldn't fall in love with Michael Brown, my lord, because he was a fantastic player for United, obviously came to us from Manchester City, and that's the last connection I'm going to give. So you let me know what you've got in the comments, and then we'll see if we can build a pretty good 11 out of players that have played for both United and Man City. Now, I'd like to give a big shout out to all of our members. They are a much appreciated part of the Sheff United Way family. And if you ever want to become a member, become part of this amazing family that we've got together, then just click join on YouTube app in front of you. Now, we always do stats. Now, this is the thing. Hal has been like, oh yeah, let's do stats every week. And so it's a recurring feature, and this is Hal's feature. And who am I to judge about what we want to do? But this one, didn't enjoy this bit. Didn't enjoy researching this one. So let's quickly rattle through whatever stats we can get out of there, and then we'll run away as quick as we can. So, Manchester City have the most goals scored per 90 in the Premier League. Sheffield United, 20th. Manchester City are third on the list for the amount of goals conceded so far this season. Sheffield United, 20th, of course. On XG, Man City aren't quite performing how they would expect to. They are only 6th in the league. Sheffield United, 20th. In terms of XG conceded, Manchester City are 2nd in the league, only behind Arsenal, whereas Sheffield United are, you guessed it, 20th yet again. It's not been a banner season for United in any of those stats, but we'll come to the last one, and don't worry guys, it's a good one. Manchester City have got the highest average possession stats in the league, but where is Sheffield United, you ask? They're not 20th. They're 19th. We have more average possession than Luton Town, which I'm sure is something that we are all really proud of and basically counts as the 3 points we should have got at the weekend. In terms of the head-to-head, Man City do have the better of United when we have played historically. 127 games played, Man City have won 55. That's just over 43%, whereas United have won just 38. In recent years, it has been all Manchester City. I think United have only won one of the last 9, but that one was in 2008 and was, of course, Balloongate. And so that was a lot of fun, which we, I'm sure, bring up every single time we play against Manchester City, because why not? Now, we're all big United fans. Everybody knows we want United to be successful, want United to do well. But we're all realistic and we all know what's going to happen in this one. Personally, I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory for Manchester City. But let me know what you're thinking for the weekend in the comments. Tell me if you think I'm being way too negative and that United are actually going to perform the miracle, that the Wilder effect is going to take hold and we are going to get a result at the Etihad. Fair play to you if you do, to be fair. It's been Christmas. You've probably had a lot to drink. I can't fault you for that. Now, as always, please do like this video, subscribe to the channel, and listen to the latest of our podcast, which was recorded a couple of weeks ago ahead of the Luton game. You can find that on Sheff United Way Extra, or you can also find it wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate your support, particularly this time of year. Thank you so much to everybody who's watched this. I hope you've had a fantastic Christmas. I hope you are looking forward to a fantastic new year. And most importantly, I hope we're all looking forward to a 2024 full of victories for Sheffield United. Thank you so much, everybody. Go well.